All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of HR Blunders with the HR Whisperer and Jazz, the Life Engineer. I think this is
Yay.
episode 3, Jazz, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, how are you doing since the last time we talked? There's
I'm
been
doing
so
great.
much happening.
It has. Super excited to get into it. So yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's only been 2 weeks. And so that is our schedule and our cadence, guys. So if you've been listening and you like what you're hearing, make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
Also, you can listen to us on Spotify if like I said, making that drive in to work. Hey, I trusted, faithful attendee, Miss Christina McIntyre. I see you. Thank you for joining us. How are you,
Yay.
Christina? If I knew how to do it, I would share the link at some point during the show. But I would have to figure out how to be able to do that. But we're a work in progress. But I
Absolutely.
am excited about today's topic. So Jazz, the Life Engineer, of course, doing what she does best, she came up with the topic for today, which is the courage to reinvent yourself. And before we kick off, before I turn it over to you, Jasmine, today is your day. It is National Engineers. Actually, this week is your week, National Engineers Week. And so you are an engineer in the field, tried and true, over 20, about 20 years in the
Yeah,
field.
25 years in the industry. Yep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
24 years with my current company. Yep.
So congratulations, because
Yeah.
Christina, she can attest. There's some people, honey, that look, they can't stay with nothing for 6 months. You go to that LinkedIn, I swear I'm getting my shirts made this year before the end of first quarter. Hold me to it. Men lie, women lie, but LinkedIn don't. Because you go to their LinkedIn and you will see, like, oh my goodness, they really just started doing this like six
Yeah.
months ago. But that is amazing, especially in today's market. And I think, as we talk about the courage to reinvent ourselves, I do also want to talk about because there is a shift because from I would say, like, even when I was in college, right, because of like the surge of like the MLMs and business owners and entrepreneurship, especially in the Black community, it's like people would shun having a job. Where
Yeah.
now I think we're going to begin to see a shift where the flex is having a job and the flex is having benefits, right? Because the reality is everybody is not cut out for entrepreneurship. And you
Yeah.
can do both. That's how I got started. I had my job and started the company and then eventually moved. My great Christina, that was her story, right? Started her company, worked it, grew her client base and then was able to leave her job. And so I think, people are starting to realize that, hey, it's actually a positive thing to have that JLB, even if you have to drive in, you know.
Yeah. You know, I grew up watching that model, and I didn't really understand that that wasn't normal until I got to be grown, an
Hmm.
adult. Because my parents always had a business and a job. So
Yep.
and my dad's parents had a business and job. Um so to me, that's what we knew, that's what we saw. So, you
And I
know,
can attest to that. I grew up with you, young from junior high. And yeah, like your parents, they had their 9 to 5, but then they were entrepreneurial and had their business as well. And we all know Clint did as well.
that's
He
it.
had multiple streams of income that
Yep,
was multidimensional.
yep,
And so you're right. Like when you grow up in that, it doesn't seem abnormal. Like
right.
even like in current times, like I meet with people that come from corporate large organizations, Fortune 500 or maybe even Fortune 100, and they actually question me like you have how many businesses? Like, how do you? And I tell them, like, look, when I was working for these companies, do you know how many departments and things I was running and like having to manage people across countries?
Right.
So if
Right.
I could do it for them, like, I'm sure, like, I'm at home, like, I'm just operating in my normal state, you know? And so, I think that, like you said, it was normal to you, and then you realized as an adult it was abnormal. I think there's also going to be a shift too, where again, this is going to become normal. I think people are beginning to realize, people that have never had to consider before, people that are being touched, that never have been touched before, are realizing that they are going to need to step out of the comfort zones and become multi-dimensional in efforts for their best interests, because there are going to be some implications. We know all of the changes that are happening within the government, impacting the government employees, and there's going to be a trickle down effect as well. Just with like the real estate market and things like that. Now, there were some crazy decisions and things when you look at the data, because I don't know how you are making like 100 and some thousand or 200, but you got this $1 million house. But, like I said, people are adults and they have to make their own decisions. And so we're seeing an uptick as of like a month or two ago. A lot of those houses went on the market. Um, and I don't understand, like, that's why I say some of this stuff, I don't want to sound insensitive, but some of it, I am not the person to come talk to, because what were you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of that is just you know, what we deem as successful. And I really try to challenge people uh to to really think about what success means to them, and don't necessarily just go along with whatever status quo or whatever society is telling them success is. You really have to define that for yourself.
Well, and that's
um
the thing, that's key. You can't measure yourself against other people. And
yeah.
that's something that good old Clint taught me as a kid.
Hmm.
I never really, like, I didn't understand the full context of what he was sharing with me, right? Because it's one of those things that kind of was a double entendre. It had a couple different meanings to it. But I remember him, like, we were riding in the car, and I remember him looking at me and telling me, Netta, like, don't ever, you know, be jealous or upset about what somebody else has, because you don't know what they paid for it.
That's
And
true.
I understand and know as an adult, like, it's not, he wasn't talking about monetarily, right?
Right.
Because, and then, and he had to give context, because he was like, that woman in that big house, you don't know, she getting knocked around every night, and to be in that house, right?
That's
And
true.
things to be able to keep that
Yeah.
lifestyle.
What level of sacrifice they're making,
Mhm.
and would
And
you be willing to do that, right? Yeah,
and
that's
that's the same thing with positions,
yeah.
right? Because
Yeah,
people,
that's true.
again, like I said, everybody I talk to is an entrepreneur as of late. Everybody say they was an executive, and so I'm like, okay. But the reality is, again, like there's some give and take there, and a
Right.
lot of times, like, it got to the point we actually, like, one of my former bosses and I, we actually used to do a presentation for people that thought they wanted to move up the ladder, because again, people don't talk about what you give up for that. They don't talk about, again, like, there's some sacrifices, like, you're not going to be home every night probably for dinner,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you're probably going to be on the road like every week, a lot,
Right.
or
Yeah.
working long hours, because there's other social things that come along with having those positions. And then when you become like the face of, like the company or what have you, and
Right.
you're interacting with like the community that you're in, like, you're expected to hobnob and be at some of these
Yeah.
events. And
Hmm.
so it creates late nights for you. And so, um, like sometimes it's easy for people to look at the glitz and the glam.
So
It's
true.
easy for them to look at um, the rewards and the benefits of it. And I'll be transparent for me. Like, I live in the house of my dreams. And I truly can say that because I was challenged when I was 20 something, because I was in, people clown it, but it actually was beneficial for me. I was in the MLM market, and I remember being challenged by my mentors to actually like be descriptive and really, really writing my goals and what I wanted for my life in the future, like, and being descriptive and the type of house I wanted and what I wanted in. And of course, we were influenced by MTV Cribs. So, I had all the things, right? Movie theater room, and I want this, and, years later, lo and behold, God bless, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I got this property, when I bought this place, I was traveling. Like at that point, I was um I was with a company, and we had just closed down all of the manufacturing in Michigan. Somebody had a bright idea that was not a good idea
Oh,
to move all the manufacturing down to Tennessee, right? And they didn't do enough of the research. And
yeah.
they got everybody to buy in because cost of living was cheaper. It was
Cost
going
of
to be,
living was cheaper. They probably could bring labor costs down, etc. Yeah.
except they didn't have the skill set. And
Yeah.
so when I joined this organization, I found myself about a month in. I was asked, okay, well, not really asked. I was told, hey,
Voluntold.
yeah, like my boss, she came in my office and shut my door. And she was like, hey, we really are going to need you down in Tennessee. Like, I need you to go down there and see what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
because, like, we were falling out of alignment with the schedule that we had to be
Okay.
able to like launch and
Yeah.
things like that. So there was a point, like I had just purchased this house. I had another property across town, about an hour across town. And then I had an apartment in Tennessee. So
Yeah.
I would fly out Tuesday morning and fly back here Thursday night, right? While I was trying to move in, like I hadn't even got to fully finish moving in. Like I had to move all my stuff, and I still had, boxes. So I would, take some time on the weekends. And then fast forward again as my career grew even more, with a different company. There was a time where I tell folks, like I literally was visiting my life on the weekends. Like I was traveling every week. Like
Yeah.
I was at one of our facilities. I would fly in and just work from that facility. And sometimes it would be Mexico, Reynosa, Mexico, which people that are familiar, they know and they understand. And they're like, ooh, like Reynosa. Like I have been to the countries and mentioned, like, yeah, I used to be in Reynosa. They're like, what? Ooh. But yeah, like every week on the road. And so when you think about like if you're trying to have a family or have
Right.
kids, like you're missing all of those events. Like those are sacrifices, right? And those are things that they impact your family dynamics. And I think people don't talk about that enough. And so, you will have folks measuring themselves and saying, hey, I wish I want to get to that point, or I want to achieve this and that. And they really don't have a full understanding of what it takes to have that.
Yeah. That's really true. And that is so true. And I challenge people to really get clear early in their career what they're willing to sacrifice
Yeah.
and um what is most important to you.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've had to sacrifice higher roles because I knew that wasn't going to be in alignment
Hmm.
um, with my family life. And so I've had to decline some of those because I knew that it wouldn't put me in the position I needed to be in to be the type of parent um,
No, I'm telling
that
you.
yeah that I wanted to be. And so that can be challenging.
Mm,
But you have to understand that all of that is about seasons. And it
yeah.
sometimes it's just not the right season for that. It doesn't mean it's forever, but it just may not be the right season now. And so um, I've really been happy with my career with that, that I really took the time to get clear about what was most important to me, what is most important to me. Um, and I've found ways to be impactful and to be an integral part of my company and to rise to higher levels without compromising
Mhm.
the type of parent and family member, right, that I
Yeah.
want and need to be.
No,
Um,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
And
No.
so and it looked funny to others,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've had people, criticize me for it, coworkers and friends,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not as gun ho or on my career. I love being an engineer. It's something I'm super passionate about, but um, my number one job is being a mom, and I've got
Oh,
to, yeah, I've got to
that's
see
awesome.
that job through. This is my legacy. This
Yeah.
is my personal investment in my legacy and future, and it's so worthwhile and meaningful to me to pour into my son the way I need to. So,
Mhm.
um, but I think it's still about getting clear about your priorities.
Yes.
And
Your
I think,
priorities, not
yeah,
somebody else's.
exactly. And I think that sometimes we just don't get clarity on that stuff until it's too late, right? Until we're in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we realize, oh gosh, this isn't what I wanted at all, right? This
Mm-hmm.
isn't this
I
isn't helping me to, get things, the things that are meaningful to me done at all. And so I think it's getting clear on what's most important to you, your priorities,
yeah.
and then going from there.
Yeah.
So
I want to shout some people out in the comment section. The Cold Chasers Digital Marketing. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're enjoying the discussion. And like I said, thank you, Christina, for joining us. Yes, I am sipping on a refreshing drink. Thank you. Um, but no, everything you're saying is absolutely right, and I think it's again, hopefully, as people watch this and then, or they listen on that drive into work or home, and watch the playback, they will actually take some nuggets from this, right? And not feel like they're missing out. Because I sometimes see people that, again, they get so hung up on comparing themselves or feeling like
yeah,
they haven't achieved, and they miss out on enjoying where they are in life,
that's so
right?
true.
And and again, you're robbing yourself, in that instance. And I think the key is, I don't look at life work life balance. I don't think that is exist. I think that it just sets people up for frustration. But I look at work life integration, and I think that like that is the key to success. That's been the key for me, to success and really having like a fulfilling life. And again, and it's going to look different and odd to others. They won't understand it. But like the people that get it, the people that are multidimensional, like I think I was sharing with somebody, maybe with Christina. Like I have people in my network that like they encourage me, especially the younger kids that are really getting it because they completely get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I have seen an individual with his friends in Miami partying, bottle service, and VIP, had his laptop and had the nerve to close a deal. Look at okay. And then the party continues, right? So you talk about like again, like work life integration to the nth degree. But when you are so laser focused and you have such goals and you know who you are, then nothing is going to stop you. You're going
Right.
to just bulldozer ahead, no matter what obstacles come up, what mishaps may, arise. That tenacity just really builds in. And again, you just have to forge, ahead. Like I said, the last time we met, it felt like it was Tuesday, and it felt like it had already been a full month. It was like the week from hell, it seemed. And then even I think I shared with you after this, we recorded our session, my whole desk collapsed. All right, but I knew I had, the driver coming in the morning to come get me to rush me to the airport. And I was just like, you know what? That has to wait till next week. I
Yeah.
can't even like think about that right now because again, how important is the collapsed desk? I'm not going to be here to use it for the next week anyway. So
Right.
it just has
And
to, we'll deal with that when look when I get back, right?
and that's so funny. My son went through a Dale Carnegie youth leadership course.
Mm,
And we take Dale Carnegie all the time. I was amazed they had it for youth. But one thing that they taught him, and it's so funny, he went through this in sixth grade, and he's a senior this year, but he still
uh,
uses this. And I was like, wow, I just can't imagine getting this tool, so young. But um, Dale Carnegie discusses day tight compartments and how
mm-hmm.
you have to put things into day tight compartments, and that's exactly what that is.
Yeah,
You know, and I think that we all have to learn that technique because that's what helps us to not burn too much energy because we only have so much energy for each day. So that
yeah,
helps us not to burn too much energy up and to stay focused on the course, at
yeah,
whatever at hand. So
yeah.
yep.
And there's balance with that too, because
Hmm.
I fought myself with again, because those are traits you have to be able to be a leader,
Right.
especially in those organizations. um but you can go to the extreme, and there was a time where I was too far to the extreme, where again it can kind of make you can compartmentalize so much that you don't like, you may not be as empathetic
Oh
or,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
present in the moment, like with other areas, like family and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, and
Yeah,
that's why I really challenge people to get clear about
yeah,
what's most important to them and make sure, because I think one thing that a lot of people struggle with is we say this is important to us, but we're prioritizing that.
hmm,
And so you have to make sure whatever is, important to you, you're making that a priority in your time and in your
yeah,
daily activities.
yeah,
Um, I think, so that's something you have to be careful about as well. You say that family is important, but you're spending all your time at work, right? So,
yeah. You have to be,
it's you
well, you
know,
have to be conscious, of it
yeah,
and make it a
yeah.
priority. And and I've again, my life has shifted and changed, and that's something that's important to me. And so I do, now that I have more control over my time in my life, I prioritize it. But I want to get into again because there is so much change happening in the world, and we're only halfway through first quarter of 2025.
Right.
Want to have you kind of talk to us more about this courage to reinvent yourself?
Yeah. So, I think that the reinventing yourself can be a scary thought within itself because uh we all have our own aversions to change, right? And so um it takes a level of courage to reinvent yourself and create a different you. And this is something that I see, in your, it may be in your health journey.
Mm-hmm.
It can be in your financial journey. It can be in your career. But we're constantly reinventing ourselves everywhere, right? Everywhere, in every area of our life. especially uh, with personal growth and
Yeah.
development, right? We're constantly reinventing ourselves there. And I think the challenge that a lot of people are going to get into in this next season of corporate life is that
Mhm.
most of these companies have an expectation that you're going to reinvent yourselves, right? And that's the expectation. When you look at a lot of the performance-based activities that we have going on right now, and,
Mhm.
and setting up the new goals for the year, etc.,
Yeah.
so much of it is about agility. How you're able to change, how you're able to reinvent yourself and collaborate and grow and help the company to grow. And so we're being measured more and more on our ability to reinvent ourselves. And I think a lot of people are confused on how to do that. And that goes back to our limiting beliefs, right? We have, and that's where you have to have the courage to reinvent yourself. What type of self-talk do we have, right?
Mhm.
What are we telling ourselves? Are we telling ourselves I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I can't do, I don't have the skills, I don't know the people, right? I mean, we're just
Mhm.
all of it, right? And so
Yeah.
so we have to start where we are, right? Start where we
Yeah.
are. And it's a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
And we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's
I'm
what it is.
telling you. And that's when success comes. That's when you have exponential success.
Yes,
When you actually run into the discomfort. Like, and that seems crazy to people, but it
it
is the
does.
most awesome thing.
And the more you do it, when you first do it, you're terrified, right? You're so
Oh,
terrified.
yeah. Like, there's
But
nothing that, like, again, as much, I don't know if I can call myself an introvert anymore, but I'm holding on to it. But, like, I run into discomfort. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the worst that can happen to me? And so, again, like, you will have some of the most phenomenal experiences by not playing it safe and running into the discomfort. And you'll find out it's really not uncomfortable. It's like with exercising, right? You have to work on those muscles. The first time you may try a new exercise, and then or like a new exercise routine, and then you feel like you're near death. Like, I've had this experience several times. I try a new exercise routine, and I feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And
right.
then 2, 3 weeks in, it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting good. I'm getting through the whole thing, you know. And yeah, and it's amazing. It's growth. It's growth.
Yeah, and we learn so much from that. I mean, man,
Yeah.
we learn so much each time we push ourselves um out of that comfort zone. So you just have to get comfortable, with being uncomfortable. And I saw a quote the other day, and it really kind of fired me up. It said, rich people buy time, poor people buy stuff, ambitious people buy skills, lazy people buy distractions. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh wow. I
That's the
mean,
truth.
yeah, I mean,
Yep,
wow.
that is the truth. Like, it really is. And again, like, that's the ultimate thing. Like, your mind, again, there comes a point where your mind begins to shift and you realize the value of time, right?
Hmm.
Or the more you can cut your learning curve, you really don't mind pain
Right.
for it, right? Or even, again, like in business, like I was talking with someone today, and we brought on someone new actually a few weeks ago, but by way of someone else. But now we're working directly with her, and she's an
Okay.
awesome add to our organization. But again, like, you're going to have some people, and this lets you know where they are. You know, not to be on my my coach Stormy, but you got those low vibrational people, so they don't, they don't want to pay for nothing. They want everything free and just,
Yeah.
and that kind of helps you sort through people so you know who you're
Mhm.
dealing with too. But like you said, the rich people and the ambitious individuals, like they understand, like I don't mind paying for data. Or again, like I don't mind outsourcing something that's going to allow me to focus my efforts on some of the more meaningful things or
Right.
enriching things in my life or in my business per se. And so, so no, that is so, so true. That is so true. I do think that, again, as we talk about like with folks that are in the workforce and with these jobs, there also is another shift. I was had a conversation with someone. I feel like I've been having this conversation the last probably few months. Um, and I've just had to tell folks straight out, like, look, I'm not going to pay you. I'm not paying you to train you. And I feel like that's where companies are today,
Yeah.
because in this day and age of technology with Google, look, and YouTube and Chat GPT, chat bots and everything else, and even Microsoft has one, right?
Yeah.
Goldpilot. They keep trying to force me to use it. I keep minimizing it. Um, because I got my little chat stuff set up how I want it. Um, but I think again, there's some people that are really going to struggle in this season because they think that again of old, the days of old, where a company would hire you and they'd give you 90 days. Like there's really people that think like this is absurd to me that like they're going to get 90 days to get up to speed
Oh,
and
wow.
to learn the job. Like, you got that first, I think I got this book over here. This book is, you know what, even some of the stuff in that book is outdated and crazy because it talks about, oh, and you journey, like, and this is for leaders, right? I might do a whole show on this because it's absolutely
Wow.
crazy. But
Yeah, that is crazy.
it's titled Your First 90 Days. Okay. This don't apply today. Look, I should just toss it aside because this, if you read this book, you gonna get fired because if you get put into one of these leadership positions and you think that you bound to just learn like, oh, I'm just in the first 90 days, the first 30 days I want to meet everyone in the organization, I'm not going to make any decisions, I need to get to know the group. Again, there's balance with everything. That's not today, baby.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Especially when you're hiring into a more advanced role.
Yeah.
They're expecting for you to come in and hit the ground running, and
Yes.
you're gonna spend a lot of your, evening and off time trying to get up to speed, per se on, some things, and try to, get with the people that have been there and get some
Yeah.
understanding and feedback. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're expecting you to come right in.
Yes. You
Um,
got to come in
yeah.
like knowing some stuff,
But I
right?
think, yeah, but you made a great point, though. I think that is the challenge. I don't think people are realizing that the onus is on us to get
Yes.
all of the skills that we need now.
Yes.
Um, and with those skills, that allows us to be marketable to these corporations.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's important to be working on new skills all the time.
Mm.
And I don't think that a lot of people understand that, um without those new skills, you can lose, the current job that you're in. I've been in a couple of situations
Yeah.
where I was asked if I was willing to learn something new. And I realized later that if I would have said no, I would have lost the job that I was currently in,
Mm-hmm.
because there was a reorganization and all of this, and I would have gone to another manager, and they were doing things differently, and it wasn't the same demand on the skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I already had a specific skill set, but I was asked if I was willing to learn another skill set. And I said, sure. And so if I would have said no, uh, then I probably would have lost the current job I was in. So, um, yeah, I mean, sometimes you even have to reinvent yourself to stay in your current place. And
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Yeah, because the only thing constant is change, right?
that's crazy. I mean, just to even stay in your same spot, you may have to do that.
Yeah,
And I think that's such a mindset shift
it
for people
is.
that have been in corporate 30,
Think about government.
25 plus years. Huh?
Think about government though, right? Because they haven't been challenged. And like I said, some of what's happening is not horrible to an extent. It's almost like I think for people in the private sector, it's some of it is normal because we've been through restructurings. We and you understand from a business lens some
Yeah.
of the things and decisions that are being made. But again, for a whole industry that has never been touched, never had to go through these changes where people could just kind of go and stay and just ride out, their 30 years. I'm just counting the clock
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
right? Because, see, it's some people, I would be careful what I say, but it's some people that they done passed up on these 8-month pack, which are very generous,
Yeah.
very generous. These 8-month packages, and they should have took them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
because everybody in your department wants you to take them because you send them to taking up space. And so, and they're being told, unfortunately, by their union officials and things like that, don't take them. And now the time has passed. So now, again, the news cycle, we're beginning to see the next phase. Because if you don't get enough people that voluntarily leave when you're doing a restructuring, now you
right.
have to do involuntary.
That's right.
So now we're seeing, a lot of emotional people online and TikTok and such, that are wrestling with that. And again, and it's such a culture shock. Like again, and I'm not laughing at the people, but it's so dramatic. I think from being in the private sector, and again, my standpoint, I came out of grad school in '03, so that's when I hit like for real, the real working, world. I worked in lolly land. I worked for the government. I worked for the state, like for, my last 2 years of undergrad into grad school. And again, like it's insulated. It's a whole different world, right?
It is.
But '03, we were going through a downturn. And so from '03 to about 2010, I got really good at closing facilities and managing restructurings. And so when I hear the stories, like I heard one today, a lady's account of her being let go from her job. And if Christina's still with us, this is for you. So the lady mentioned that she got let go of her job because they're letting go of course, like in HR, we know the drill. First, you let go of your contractors and the agency people because you're always going to let go of, your other workforce before you get to like your full-time employees because you have to show that you made every effort to keep your actual full-time employees
Right.
intact. Um, and so she said, her boss didn't know she was being let go until like it was happening, and her boss fell to her knees.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I just was like, I've never, and like I said, have led many restructurings and I've had some crazy things happen,
Some
like people,
people, I mean,
stuff
some
like
people
that.
really take
But
it
it's
personally
to that, yeah, it's to that
and
extent.
they really take it to heart. Yeah.
She wasn't the one being let go. Like
Oh,
this was
what?
the manager that fell to her knees. And I'm like, again, like, you're the leader of the organization, right? So you gotta hold this together because you also have, and again, there's balance, right? Because you want to show empathy and
Yeah,
sympathy
that's true.
to the employee that's impacted, but you got a whole team. You got to manage these people, and they need to respect you, and they need to know that you know the path forward.
Yeah.
And so, again, like I think folks got to look at within themselves, and they need look. Maybe they need to read that 177.
Mental toughness.
Yeah, because I'm like confused, and again, like now that makes me question your leadership skills and ability a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I said, you have a whole team that is looking to you for guidance,
Right.
especially in a time of turmoil,
That's true.
you know,
They're really
and
leaning
there's a
on you.
balance.
Yeah. For you
Showing
to
that
be
empathy. You want to be sensitive
in
and show
check.
that empathy and sympathy, but at the same time, you gotta be a leader. Like there's just to me, there's just some things, and people can say whatever they want. Again, I'm HR. People always say HR is, what else, but like to me, that's no, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. You
like
gotta
I
stay
question your
professional.
leadership. Yeah,
Yeah.
I question your leadership, but but again, like I think it's like what you're saying about like advancing those skills even in role to be able to stay because again the train is moving
Yeah.
and expectations are so in
That's
that
right.
environment as these cuts are coming along again the bar is rising
That's right.
and so that's why like your people to your point if they're staying status quo what worked 30 years ago doesn't work today.
Right.
You know, like it taking you 2 weeks to finish something that doesn't work today.
Yeah.
The turnaround time is tomorrow. And
Yeah.
so, and you just want
Yesterday.
to time it at 5 p.m., right? The
Yeah.
day before, and it's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's the world of which we live in.
It is. It
It is.
is.
It
Yeah.
is. So,
Yeah. It's challenging and with those new goals and et cetera that we're setting up, that's a lot of it. A lot of it is about reinventing yourself.
mhm.
And I mean, I was really surprised about that, but it's just these corporations are looking for a certain type of person now.
Yeah,
They're looking for a forward thinking person. They're looking for a person that genuinely has an entrepreneurial mindset, whether you are the engineer, the procurement specialist, a subcontract manager, the HR person. They want you to understand how your job and your role plays a part in the value stream and return on sales. And I
exactly.
think that that's a big shift for a lot of people because they, depending on what silo you were in, you didn't concern yourself with that, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so that's a big part of it now as well. How are you working to save the company money? How are you working to create new ideas and innovations that take things, you know, that make things faster and cut time and cut inefficiencies? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
And you know, by reinventing yourself, you're helping yourself to gain those skills to be able to do that. But like, what's the starting place? Like, how do you start to reinvent yourself? I know that's what a lot of people are thinking, right? Because you may be stuck, you have skills, um, but you're not sure how marketable the skills you currently have are, and you're not sure how to gain skills. So the first thing is to get out of your comfort zone and really start to think about what it is that you want to do. This is a time and a season that you may be reinventing yourself to go into, a new role,
yeah,
and so When I was in undergrad, we were taught that the average person would change jobs and even maybe roles and career paths
Mm-hmm.
7 to 10 times in their lifetime.
Okay.
And so that was what we were taught in undergrad. And I've done that. I've just done that with the same company, but I've done different roles, you know. I'm not doing
Yeah,
the
but
same
you
thing.
also been on the same, but you've been in the same, like, overall encompassing career.
Yes, I'm
Engineering, right?
engineering. Yes,
You
engineering.
weren't
Uh-oh.
a massage therapist, and now you an engineer
Yeah.
or an
Yeah.
H or
Yeah.
an HR. Never
It's
mind.
crazy.
But like you in the same umbrella, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
I've done different roles within engineering.
Okay.
When I started, I was doing more like uh what people would say, like real electrical engineering. I
Mm-hmm.
do more project engineering type work today, right? I'm more of a project engineer than I am doing like hardcore electrical engineering work. So that's been a shift. And as you go up the ranks and get more responsibility, and you become,
Mm-hmm.
uh more with that, you get more involved in the business side of it for
Yeah.
engineering, right? So you're more into account management and things like that, as well as the engineering. But they want you in those roles, right? Because we have the technical expertise to
Mm-hmm.
manage the products, the projects that are going on. Plus the business acumen to be able to manage the cost, right? It's technical cost and schedule.
Yeah, and that's what it
So
is. Like with those leadership roles, it's business first, but through the lens of your expertise or function,
right.
right?
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
running a business,
Yeah.
and that's where the shift is, where you know that you're operating like in those upper management executive roles, because the shift changes, and you won't last in those roles if you don't shift your
Yeah.
mindset, because it's different, because it's like, oh, I'm an HR person, but no, I have to be this business person. No, it's business first with HR infused, but through an
Yeah.
HR lens, right? And that's your contribution, because I see the world differently than you would see it. So if
Right.
we're here on the team together, we're an asset to each other,
Hmm.
because I'm going to be able to immediately see things that may have some HR implications that you wouldn't necessarily see, and
Right.
you would see some things that have implications from an engineering product standpoint that would just skip by me, that I wouldn't even recognize or even know to think about.
Yeah, and I think where people are missing it is, I think that's starting to be pushed down to where
Hmm.
they're expecting that from the average employee now, not
Yeah,
just the C-suite.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
I can
that's
see
where the
that.
real mindset shift is starting to happen, right?
Yeah, and
Because
that's a challenge.
yeah,
It's a challenge. I do want to get to this video that you shared with me, but
sure.
before we get into that, I just want to give some context text. So it's a message to the Gen X generation, which I'm a part of. And so I guess she's talking to me. It's those individuals that were born between 1965 and 1980. So essentially, those individuals that are 45 years old to about 59. Okay. 59 or 60, depending on when your birthday falls. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up. Let me. Okay, let me turn the volume on.
Corporate
I'm
America.
showing my Gen X. Hold on.
You are not ready for the shift of corporate America. You are not ready. This modern corporate is eliminating you, eliminating jobs. Like ASAP. Once government jobs have been impacted as of 2025, where when we were growing up, you got a government job, you're set for life. You can retire and have a pension and retirement and be good. Now you don't even know. Some people don't even know if they're going to still have their jobs in August, and they have government jobs. Okay. But if you're in corporate, it's even worse because now the C suites, they don't even stay in their positions longer than 3 to 7 years now. They're looking at getting other jobs. They're in for short-term gain. So they're laying off people as a profit strategy to show how much money they can make a company by even letting people go. So when you see somebody coming in restructuring, they're coming in to let people go. And I'm seeing that in so many people. I'm in a part of a company now that's doing restructuring, and the people they're letting go have been with the company 25, 30 plus years, and they're having to find a job before March. Get ready. The only way to be ready for this huge, huge change is to get some new skills. And you're almost going to have to reinvent your life at our age. So this is impacting Gen X, definitely some millennials, but boomers, oh my God. Oh my God. I don't even know. I think it's heartbreaking. But you'll have to find some other streams of income if you want to make it.
Okay. So it's restarting. Okay. All right. So that was her message to the Gen X community.
Yeah, and it's not bleak. Really, this is an exciting time if you really think about it, because you have the opportunity, and you always have. But
Mhm.
just to reframe this, you have the opportunity to create the life that you want by gaining the new skills that you desire. And with gaining
Exactly.
those new skills, you can create the life that you want.
Mhm.
And you can go into some different things. You can, I would, if you are in this situation, I would start by thinking about what things are you passionate about. What things are you passionate about that you may not be currently working on. um, Make a list of all of the skills that you have attained through your current career and whatnot, and then think about how you can leverage those skills and maybe add on a few skills that will take the current skills that you have to a different level. um, and if you don't understand any of that, start with LinkedIn Learning,
Mhm.
Coursera,
Yeah.
Udemy, HubSpot, mastermind.com, all these different sites.
Mhm.
And so many of them are free. YouTube, with just finding something new to learn every day to
Yeah.
continue to challenge yourself.
You know, I
And
love AI. Like, have ChatGPT make a plan for you.
yeah.
Like, build out a plan in small chunks of learning. There's even like apps now, like, so
Yeah.
you don't even have to read some of these books.
Oh yeah.
Like, you really,
The
it will
micro,
like
yeah.
every day give you like,
A
um,
10-minute little segment on it, a cliff note.
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
And with information doubling every 12 hours at this point,
mm-hmm,
you're gonna have to learn how to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It's
yeah,
it's a cycle that we're gonna have to do so much faster. So
mm-hmm,
much faster. You build a plan today, it could be obsolete by tomorrow.
exactly,
It could be new
exactly,
information available tomorrow. So it's going to be
exactly.
about having an open mind, constantly keeping an open mind, reassessing your plans, because
Mhm.
there may be something new that can make it go faster, right? And to me, that's
Absolutely.
really exciting. I mean, but I understand it can be scary.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I think, again, I think you're absolutely right. I will say for her, like she almost seems dated though. Like I worry about her because if you mentioned she's in the private sector and she's just now catching on that like restructurings are happening. And private sector has been restructuring for years. And
Yeah.
so I don't know why that's such an eye-opening thing for her. But even to your point, like I think even if you aren't in that situation, I think this is a good time to have go through that exercise. And what do you want to learn? Like, doing like as you do your goal planning, your strategy, you should be again like doing your goals for the year, but even beyond, like what is your 5 year plan,
Yeah.
right? And then be honest with yourself and measure yourself with where am I today and where is the gap. Once you have that information, then you can start to build out a plan. You can do some research, whether that is again going to chat gpt, right? And you can let it know like, hey, this is my 5 year plan. This is where I am today. Now you have to, open yourself up because ChatGPT might tell you about yourself and you might not be ready to hear it, but it will let you know, look, this is where your gaps are. This is what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
And
It
so,
will. It will.
no, but it will also, if you ask it, give you a detailed plan, step by step guide that you can actually incorporate into your life and begin to utilize and like see some improvement or, get you closer to your goals. It will actually go that deep with you. But I think that that's every area of your life from your health and wellness
Yep.
to, your professional career to your business, and really being real and honest with yourself. And again, like I said, even that book, that 177 mental toughness, you know, ideas or strategies, I think that everybody should look at that. And this is the time to be honest with yourself because, again, if you say you want to be at a certain place in life and you want certain success, you have to ask yourself, okay, like, am I getting up early enough to allow myself the additional time to learn something new,
Right.
right? Am I like creating time in my day to be able to work out? Like, if I have certain health or fitness goals,
Yep.
am I changing my, eating habits? Am I changing what I'm consuming, and really being intentional about that and being like honest with yourself, to make sure that you really can achieve those things. And so I think that, again, like she sounded the alarm. I think maybe she will wake some people up that are super, super sleep, and there are some. But, you know, yeah, the government jobs, there has been for years kind of that feeling or even fallacy that that was job security,
Mm-hmm.
even though like those jobs for some time just did not, like they weren't competitive or keeping up with the market,
Right.
today as we continue to have inflation. And so, as it relates to the private sector, like I said, I think, for the most part, I think most folks have been used to or have experienced companies restructuring and things like that. So hopefully they're on top of it and they're, at least it's on their mind, but they need to begin acting today and making sure that they're increasing their skill set. And like I said, this whole mindset of someone hiring you and paying you to train you up, that is of the old days. Like that
Yeah.
is not, and you need to like again with this technology, there's some people that are going to be paralyzed with fear, right? And that's one of the things when I first watched this, I thought, okay, she's fear mongering, getting people all worried and worked up and but not really given tangible skills of, like you need to increase your skill set. Well, how? Right?
Well, I
Because
think that's what's always missing,
yeah,
right? Is the how, but you know, fear
'cause-
sells. Just
yeah,
like
but
news,
if
fear sells, and that's a lot of it.
yeah,
So
but if somebody is stuck in that mindset, I could see somebody thinking, "Oh shoot, I need to go back to school. I need to go
oh
to college and go get in debt." No, like things have changed so
no,
much
no,
because of again with our education system, it's become so costly, and with the technology, sometimes you don't even need all these degrees, right?
no.
And a
No,
lot
because
of people can
what
learn.
you're learning is obsolete by the time you get out. And
Yeah.
yeah, because again, information is doubling every 12 hours. I mean, if
Yeah.
going to school for another 4 years, you've missed it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. One other book I'll give to is
Okay.
you reminded me, The Gap in the Gain by Dan Sullivan. It's a really good book about um, kind of how to identify that with the gap in the gain. It's
All right. I
really,
just put that
really,
in my chat. That's good. I
yeah,
love Dan Sullivan. Like,
yeah, because I know you
yeah, I'm
read
all
some of
about
his
the who,
books.
not how, honey.
Yeah, who not how, yeah, I
But
love The Gap in the Gain. It's a really great book.
and I want to give a disclaimer. I don't know what generation they are. Honestly, I think it's across generations. I don't know what people are drinking, what's in the water, or what, but people are like acting crazy. Um, and I can't even put it. I used to tease on the millennials. I can't even put it on the millennials. But I have noticed this trend of people, and I don't know if it's because they're so overwhelmed because of the last few years, right? Half of what I'm saying, kind of joke, but then I'm really not joking. Um, but I've noticed, I don't know if I just got to talk straight, but people are half-assing, okay?
Hmm.
Like they're not fully reading through things, fully reading through emails, um, understanding what's being asked of them. And again, it's not, I can't say that it's generational. I can't say that it's the millennials, right? A lot of times we would pick on them, like, oh, they're young and they're just, Russian. And no, it's some of the grown A folks, that you're like, you should know better than this. And again, like those in this type of environment,
Yeah.
those are people that are going to suffer greatly because
Well,
nobody has time to sit and hold your hand to that
mm-mm.
extent. If I've already given you the information
Yeah.
and you're not going to take heed and like fully read through it or,
Yeah.
get the gist of what I'm asking for, again, things are moving so fast. Like sometimes it's like, I got to move on. Like you slowing me
Right.
down, I got to move on. Right. And sometimes folks don't even have the time to even sit and explain to you and have a long drawn out conversation with you about why they are moving on. If you are, here is a clue. If you're a person, why are you laughing?
Yeah,
but,
no.
but this is a clue because some people don't know. Because again, like I said, things have been moving so fast over the
Yeah,
last few years
that's
that
true.
some people don't even have time, like, and it's not even, sometimes it's for me, like it's not even worth my time to even have the back and forth and
Yeah.
engage to sit and go through all that with you,
Yeah.
right? I just need to cut and move. Okay. And so if you are somebody in life and you notice like you keep having these situations where it just seems like everybody keep just leaving you, dropping you, and they just moving on, right?
Mm.
You might want to look introspectively and you might want to really assess yourself and say, hey, because who's the common denominator?
Right.
It's you, numero uno. And so you have to ask yourself, is there something that maybe I'm missing? Is there something I'm not getting? Do I think that I'm getting like ahead of things or like I'm getting over and maybe I'm really not, or getting out of
Yeah.
work and not really putting my best foot forward and, it's catching up to me? Because I'm telling you, like that's the other thing that I see happening is that, especially with business owners, because again, like I've experienced it, and then I was having this conversation with, another like business owner today, and again, like like they've recognized the same trend, and it's
Yeah.
kind of sad and disheartening, but at the same time, like, again, unlike yesteryear, sometimes people literally, like, they really just don't even have the time to sit and have that long, drawn out conversation with you about things that you should already know, you know?
I think that our American work ethic in general is
It's
in
not even
trouble.
American. Like I can speak across countries. This is what's scary because I've experienced it universal. I've experienced it universally, right? And I will at least bring it to your attention. Like, okay, so this is how fast things have progressed. Because my rule, and this was in my personal life and my professional life, the HR rule, right? Usually you try to have about 3 conversations with a person. At this point, I'm at one. I'm probably 1 or 2. Like I might mention something to you 1 or 2 times, right? And
then you
then
cut them off.
you got to move on, right? Because otherwise, like you're going to again fall behind,
Yeah.
right? Like it's dead weight,
Yeah.
and they're not getting it,
Yeah.
you know. And again, and I get real inquisitive because I really want to understand. It's the sociology of it. I had a cognitive with my bachelor's degree of sociology.
Okay.
So like I really, really um like I want to know like what are we thinking
Yeah.
when some of the stuff that people do. Like I really want to understand like what were you
Yeah.
thinking? Like why did you do this? Like what made you do this? And most of the times like they don't have an answer.
Yeah.
And that's disturbing for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or I've asked them, I'm like, okay, you sent this to the client. Like, did this look nice did this look good to you or acceptable? Because I really want to know because I'm like, you know, like I can't, it's beyond me and I can't understand and I'm baffled, right?
Yeah.
And they really like oftentimes don't have an answer.
Yeah.
And I don't, like I said, I just wonder, I'm like, what is happening here? Is there something in the food? Like
Not
what?
food.
Yeah, like what is happening here? Like I don't understand.
Yeah. I complacency though is kind of at an all-time high. I think I see that a lot, and just the sheer level of entitlement that a lot of
Mhm.
people have. Um, you
Okay.
know,
And it's
yeah,
from everything,
yeah,
Jasmine. From like we have ordered food, but at my dude's house, right? Look with his side of town. Look, I don't even think I can order like to have food delivered because it's like who the hell is working at these places?
yeah,
Because you're never gonna get your full order.
yeah,
Okay, and I'm the person I'm going right to DoorDash and get my money back
yeah,
and click on buttons. Little part of the order is missing, and it's like, who do y'all have working in these places? Like they just don't, like you
and
said,
that's what I'm saying. To me, it's just complacency and yeah, entitlement for sure. It just seems like going through the motions, not really. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember like, shoot, my first job was McDonald's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and people would spaz out about their orders. Oh my God, if somebody forgot their fries or they ordered a sausage biscuit with cheese and they forgot to put cheese. Oh my God. Like they would lose it. And so, like these people today, like it's like no, or even like, oh, this is a cute little story. So when my dad was alive, he really loved my dog Diamond. And so he would get up. He shouldn't have been eating it himself, but he would get up early because he would have to go to his appointments. He would go get a sausage biscuit sandwich. He would buy one for Diamond too at Burger King.
Oh, okay.
And she would eat hers with him. And so around Christmas, I said, you know what, I'm going to treat her. But I never could make it to Burger King during the time because they stopped serving, I think 10:30. They stopped
Yeah,
serving.
I think so.
And so finally, I was able to get over there and get her little sausage biscuit. I went through the drive-through, and I get up to the window, you know, the first window where it says "Stop here to pay," and no one's at the window. So I was getting ready to pull forward,
Right. You
and
need
this
to be
girl
all in one window.
she comes running back to the first window, and I pay, And then I moved to the second window. Well, it's the same girl. Now she done ran her ass up to the second window.
Oh.
And again, like, so now I'm like, what is wrong? Like, why don't she just put the sign up and just take our money and give us our food at the second window?
Yeah.
But she literally she would run back to the first one and take people's money, give them the change, and then she would run to the second window. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, what's wrong? Like, it's like this brain cells missing.
Well, no, what that is a product of what's been happening in our school systems, and that we're not teaching children critical thinking skills. That's the problem.
Yeah. Or the manager either, because I get like somebody's managing them, right?
Well, the
And so
problem
it's
is
like everybody is just like,
the
so
problem is
that's what it is, the critical thinking.
critical thinking skills.
Mm.
I'm amazed at that at times. And I try to remember that, for us, I mean, that's our job. We're paid to think. I mean, that's what engineering is, right?
Mhm.
So I understand that people are not flexing that muscle to the level that we are every day because, you're not getting paid to think.
Some of them ain't
But
flexible at
man,
all.
yeah. But
Some of them are not
that's the
flexible at
issue.
all. At
Well,
all.
it's just it's lack of critical thinking skills. That's really
Okay.
what it is.
And do we
And
think it's the social media? Like, what is?
well, I think so many people are not taught how to think.
Okay.
Where do we teach that? Like positive ways to think, constructive ways to think, critical ways to think that are going to move your life forward, that are going to help you to accomplish things. I think that a lot of people just don't have the skill set for that. I mean, and I think you see that more when you see how many people are struggling to get out of different types of situations, right? They don't have the critical thinking skills to think their way out of certain situations. And it's really sad. When you really think about it, it's really sad.
No, it
Um,
is. It really is. It's
because they don't understand how, right? How to think their way out of certain situations.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's why we're having so many problems with some of this other stuff, with just uh, people getting burnout and depression and things like that. It's just not knowing kind of how to think through the things that you need to do to shift your life in a different direction, you know, or
Yeah.
even where to turn to get that information.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, it's disheartening for me. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's disheartening and frustrating at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't know. But I'm like, I don't know. Look, I don't know if I can survive them.
Well, that's the issue as an employer. The challenge is there even more. But what I'm seeing more employers do is they're starting to provide some of those skills because they see the deficiencies,
Mm,
and they understand that that's going to help to create and build
the critical thinking.
employees. Huh?
The critical thinking.
Yes.
Well, maybe we need to do a show. How do you give somebody critical thinking?
Okay.
Because that is, I don't know. I think that's a huge feat to undertake, and especially for employers.
Yeah.
I think it can be. You got to slow down, but like I've seen some good examples, and it's not even so much critical thinking, but it was an exercise to enlighten you about how others may live or experience life differently from how you may. And it was an exercise I took some employees to, and I went through it myself through the United Way. So shouts out to them. They probably still, because this was some years ago, but hopefully they're still doing this. So when people would visit, especially corporate groups, they would take them through an exercise, because oftentimes there would be a disconnect, because again, you're taking people that are gainfully employed and
Right.
probably earning a really good living, and like, explaining to them like why you need them to give and contribute and do these campaigns to raise money. And so, for some folks, they just, again, there was the disconnect of like, why can't they pay their light bill? Why can't they do XYZ? So they had this board game, literally, like I remember them sitting us down and we had this like a bingo card, and it was your life. And you had these beads, okay? And the beads were your money,
Yeah.
they were your currency. And so I found myself contemplating life with these beads, because you only had this certain number of beads. And so for each life action or activity, it cost a certain number of beads. So
Right.
if you were going to have a car, it cost you 4 beads, right? Um, if you were going to, I think, ride the bus, it cost you 3. If you were going to like ride a bike, it cost you 1. If you were going to walk, it cost you 0, right? Um, and then the same with like the number of times you ate a day and things like that. So I found myself, and this, like I said, this was some years ago, with my beads, mapping up my, life, and I was like, okay, I only need to eat 1 time a day. Let me take some more beads so I can allocate them elsewhere,
Mhm.
right? But going through that, so that, I guess that did require some critical
Yeah.
thinking, because again, like, you had to assess, like, wait a minute, I don't have enough to like do everything I want here. So I have to, again, you start making some
What is that?
sacrifices.
What absolutely has to be done.
Yeah, life
Yeah.
changes and what,
Mhm.
what's really important here. And like I said, I remember distinctly, I was like, I only need to eat 1 time a week. I mean, 1 time a day. So I took some of my beads back, moved it to the 1. And then I was able to, spend those other 2 beads somewhere
Mhm.
else,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and that's the thing. And just imagine when people don't have those critical thinking skills and they're in that situation.
yeah, and it's real life,
Mhm.
and not. Just a board game.
Right.
Yeah, that can be something.
Yeah.
It can. It
Yeah,
can.
it
Well,
can.
I think this has been a really, really good discussion, Jazz, the life engineer. Thank you again.
Thank you.
For dropping that knowledge on us. But definitely, yeah, maybe we'll come back and discuss like how do you build up critical skills in someone, even when they don't recognize that they lack the critical skills or critical
Yeah.
thinking skills,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and then maybe we can talk about some what not to do, because I did get to witness, look, when I was in DC, I'm not gonna say too much, but I did get to witness, I don't know, put them on it, but how not to coach your employee.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I could tell she probably was on his last nerve. But that still does not excuse like there's a right way. Because, like he probably was in a position like where you keep telling this person over and over,
Yeah.
you've been talking to them, and the behaviors aren't changing.
Yeah.
I happen to be visiting and in their office and, hanging out and hey, you know, um, yeah. But I think that, again, like I said, and it kind of goes that back to this, what we were talking about earlier, right? Because like I said, I would have to believe that the person, like, that it's been mentioned to this person before, right? About their behaviors and staying on task and concentrating and being focused. And again, so then you have a boss that like they're at their wits end because it's like how many times do you keep talking to the person about the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And they're just not getting it. They're not changing the behaviors. And how do you move them into action? Or do you have to just revert to, I guess, with the LVMH, CEO said, he's promoting them outwardly, you know. So I don't know, so that might be a good discussion to have the next time we get together. But let me ask you, do you have anything that is coming up?
Coming up.
Any webinars or anything like that
Oh,
people should be aware of
oh.
or
No, not right now. I don't.
okay.
I don't have any coming up, but yeah, there's definitely some this quarter that we're gonna
Okay.
get together, but nothing concrete yet. No.
Okay. Okay. All right. And we just, again, check us out on edmond-enterprises.com. Check out all of our social media platforms. You can see some of the travels, the connections that we've been making, the growth. We're adding new services. Don't forget, we have our VA services, our HR firm, our employee benefits, also benefits for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, tools to help folks with wealth building. Um, I will be doing some sessions, so stay tuned for that. I think I'll be doing a couple of webinars here in the coming month or so as we get
Okay.
ready to like get into the close of first quarter for 2025. Definitely want to make sure that I'm informing and speaking to folks about benefits, right? Because there
Yeah,
is a lot of movement going on. And I
yeah,
know
it
that is
is.
a critical area for people as they're being displaced or find themselves in limbo in between jobs, So I want to make sure that, they have something in their toolkit to be able to withstand and get them through and know what their options are out there. And then also, likely some seminars or what have you for some of the business owners so that they can just stay on top of on some of the changes that
Yeah.
are occurring because it is definitely an interesting time and there's lots of
Yes.
change. Lots of
Lots of
change.
change. Yeah.
Yeah,
So true.
lots of motion. But I think overall it is going to be a great 2025. I'm still, holding to that and yeah, let's go.
That's it.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.